Hey guys, and welcome back to another marvelous video with me, Ray Jericho. Horror is all about striking fear in the hearts of people through the means of grotesque creatures and phenomena that are beyond our understanding. Think about Edogawa Rampo's The Human Chair, Ningen Isu, where for a moment the reader is convinced that an obsessed chairmaker has turned himself into a sofa just so that he could share some kind of contact with other human beings. Or you might as well look up the 11-year-old Suichi Tsuji, created by Junji Ito, who shoots nails from his mouth and curses people using his Katashiro dolls. However, there are other kinds of characters in the horror genre who can incite fear within people solely on the basis of what they actually are, their physique and their psyche. One such example is the notorious Spider-Woman in Yoshiaki Kawajiri's 1987 adult horror anime film Wicked City. And in today's video, we're going to be taking a look at just why Kanako gives us the chills whenever she shows up on our screens. If you enjoy watching our content, please like this video and subscribe to our channel. And do share this channel among your fellow otakus, because your support matters the most. Marvelous Anime brings you the best of anime content for our dedicated community of weebs. With that being said, let's get started. The Black World of the Human World, Wicked City's unholy setting. Wicked City is the film adaptation of Blackguard, the first part of Hideyuki Kikuchi's Wicked City novel series. The events in the plot take place towards the end of the 20th century, in a dystopian setting where two worlds are at odds against each other, the human world and the black world of demons that possesses supernatural abilities. The Black World is said to exist as a vast and fearful world of darkness beyond our time and space, whose inhabitants are equally enigmatic and fearful. Both of these realms have faced several conflicts in the past, especially because many extremist organizations in the Black World believe that they are superior to the lowly inhabitants of the other world and that the demons should conquer the humans. At the same time, for ages, there have been several attempts from both sides to maintain peace and harmony between the two. This resulted in the emergence of the Blackguard, an undercover organization that is tasked with the responsibility to protect the human world from any kind of threats, particularly from a group of radicalized demons in the Black World. Although the film Wicked City focuses entirely on the landmark peace treaty between the two realms, it devotes a significant amount of time to elaborate on the relationship between the humans on Earth and the demons of the Black World. For instance, in the beginning of the film, when our protagonist Renzaburo Taki comes to know that the partner in his upcoming assignment will be a female demon named Makie, Taki's reaction was seemingly that of annoyance and vexation. In fact, his initial interactions with Makie have been a bit cold and distant, albeit professional and flirtatious at certain points in the film. However, Taki's assignment to protect Giuseppe Maillard from the peace treaty ceremony was allotted exactly a day after our romantic protagonist had a near-death experience against the spider demon. So, what went down that night? A one-night stand dubbed the worst date in anime history, Kanako and Taki's encounter. Wicked City begins with a brief monologue by Taki, talking about how people often ignore the unexplainable or mysterious, the things that we can't figure out through ordinary logic, but eventually become the victims of these entities. This monologue anticipates the eventual encounter between Kanako and Taki, which is the first major event in the story. Having met each other for over 3 months, now at a local nightclub, Taki is smitten by Kanako, a young and beautiful woman, and proposes to her to spend the night with him. Although she refuses him initially, Kanako later agrees to take him to her apartment after her visit to the washroom. On their way to Kanako's place, Taki does sense a subtle change in her personality, but does not think too much about it. From there, their intimacy begins at a not-so-gradual pace as the couple passionately kiss in the elevator. This is immediately followed by Taki entering Kanako's bedroom, only to see the girl wearing lacy lingerie with her top off. Being an old romantic soul, Taki is quite taken aback by her boldness, to which Kanako asks in a nonchalant manner where it is wrong for women to be impatient, especially around men they are attracted to. This is succeeded by a montage of erotic scenes where the couple makes love to one another with much fervor and frenzy. After both Kanako and Taki reach their climax, the lovers rest in each other's arms in bed, with Taki being embraced by Kanako. In an instant, things take a very dark, twisted turn, which would later on be declared as one of the most famous scenes of Wicked City. Kanako's arms begin to elongate and morph into a set of pointed limbs with a stinger in place of fingers. The same happens to her legs as well, and all 4 of her limbs eventually fold downwards, locking Taki in her embrace. As Kanako proceeds to snap his privates with her groin lined with pointed teeth, Taki breaks away from her deathly clutches in a split second. Crawling on her sharp limbs, Kanako moves out of bed in a spider-like fashion, telling the protagonist that she, a member of the radical group, had got what she was looking for. When Taki asks what she did to the actual Kanako, the one who visited the club washroom but never came back, the arachnid entity grins and says that she had put her to sleep there and came out in her disguise instead. With this, she exits the apartment in the most horrific way imaginable by crawling like a spider out of the terrace and climbing down the wall of the apartment building with her pointed limbs and the terrifying groin with teeth gaping wide. Such grotesqueness would invariably invite much disgust and curiosity at the same time. Let's look at how Kanakos Arachnid Anatomy is a major part of her persona as an antagonist in Wicked City. Your worst nightmare since teeth, why Kanako's spider-like anatomy makes her such a terrifying creature. While there are similar other demonic individuals lurking in the shadows of the human world, Kanakos Anatomy strikes an insurmountable amount of fear within the viewers. To give a detailed account of her appearance, Kanako, aka the Spider-Woman, is partly naked, with the lingerie as the only piece of clothing on her body. She has 4 limbs, all of which are elongated and end with stingers instead of human digits. While her head and torso resemble that of a human being, the groin looks exactly like the mouth of an alien lifeform with pointed teeth on the edge. In her disguised form as Kanako, her outfit consists of a yellow shirt and a green plaited skirt that goes to her knees. Among accessories, she wears a pair of dark blue-black leggings along with a set of white high-heeled sandals. As far as her abilities are concerned, the Spider-Woman is certainly brilliant at disguising herself as a human being, so much so that a secret agent like Taki failed to recognize that she was not the real Kanako after all. Besides this, she can also release an endless stream of sticky webs at her enemies through her groin. Interestingly, during her next encounter against Taki and Makie, Kanako actually comes down from the ceiling in the same fashion as a spider, hanging onto a string of webs that come from the underside to her rear. Moreover, her stingers are razor sharp, which was evident in the torture scene, where Kanako deals a series of slashes on the intertwined bodies of Makie and Taki. It goes without saying that her infernal anatomy is well complemented by her sadistic tendencies. Yet, the most disturbing part of her body that would evoke sheer horror in the minds of viewers upon seeing it is, without a doubt, her genitals. Well, speaking of teeth and grotesque entities, let's go back to one of the most terrifying body horror films to ever be made in Hollywood, Teeth. This 2007 American horror movie depicts one of the most horrifying scenes of dark erotica. In this scene, the main character, Dawn O'Keefe, played by Jess Wexler, is about to be violated by her acquaintance, Toby, played by Hale Appleman, when her genitals castrate the assailant. This idea stems from the 1900 concept of vagina dentata, coined by the famous Austrian psychoanalyst Sigmund Freud, that stems from the age-old myth that a woman's groin consists of a set of teeth that are capable of castration. While this was popularized to discourage rape in ancient times, the concept of vagina dentata gradually evolved into a prominent element of stories of body horror and dark erotica, and Wicked City is no exception. The very sight of Kanako's gaping groin would send chills down the spine of any viewer. The most frightening aspect of it is that the entire visual resembles a Venus flytrap made out of human flesh, with spiky teeth all around. In addition to that, the dark abyss that functions for coitus as well as for castration further suggests the sheer brutality that accompanies the physical attribute of terror and dread. In other words, Kanakos Anatomy goes beyond the mere imagination of the supernatural, only to encompass the grotesque nature of our base instincts, survival, and copulation. With this, we will delve deep into another important question: why Kanako's plan involved coitus in the first place? A radical with her own plans for peace, why Kanako stole Taki's seed. So let's hit the rewind button and go back to that part of the video where we were detailing the first encounter between Kanako and Taki. As soon as the blackguard broke free from her embrace, Kanako says that her job is done, after which she departs later. The job here refers to her mission to collect a sample of Taki's semen, which was quite crucial for the upcoming peace treaty signing ceremony. As Giuseppe Maillard informs both Taki and Makie much later in the film, the two agents were the actual dignitaries whose presence was pivotal for the signing of the peace treaty between the human world and the black world. Maillard further adds that for centuries, the two realms have been looking for ways to build an alliance between the two, and that could only be possible if the genetic structure of two individuals were created in such a manner so that they were capable of copulating with each other, and thus create the first human-demon hybrid who would single-handedly lead both the worlds. In short, Taki and Makie's survival was of utmost importance for the Blackguard organization so that the peace treaty could be a grand success. The radical group from the Black World, on the other hand, viewed this as a threat to their own existence as demons. Hence, the Spider-Woman, who disguised herself as Kanako, aimed to copulate with Taki, only to collect his semen sample and kill him afterward. Interestingly, in the film, as she talks about his DNA with Mr. Shadow, the tentacle demon, who is the mastermind of the radical group, the Spider-Woman mentions that Taki is, in fact, an ideal human individual who can successfully impregnate a woman from the black world without losing his life. After all, the idea of human-demon copulation is deemed to be a sexual fantasy in Wicked City, which no human wants to pursue, since, as Mayart reiterates in the film, making love with a demon would eventually lead to the human's death due to the drastic anatomical differences between the two species. Like Taki, Makie was also created by the well-wishers of the black world so that her body was fit enough to bear a human-demon offspring. Although her defection from the radical group to the Black Guard branded her as a traitor by the former association, the Spider-Woman had another ulterior motive to kill Makie. The sexual tension between the two female demons was quite palpable as well. As a matter of fact, the Spider-Woman never changed back to her actual facial appearance, if any, and instead chose to stick with Kanako's face throughout the film. In other words, the Spider-Woman continued to work for the radicals while her face had the likeness of the person whom Taki was very much attracted. This became a major development in the plot, as this was the reason why she had marked Makie not only as a traitor, but also as a competitor per se, therefore making it her priority to kill her along with the human secret agent. In a way, it can be said that the Spider-Woman's mission, which was actually planned by Mr. Shadow, was interconnected with her personal vendetta against another female entity who was in close proximity to Taki all this while. Perhaps it was her latent envy to replace Makie and become one with the ideal male human being. Marvelous verdict. The Kanako doppelganger, popularly known as the Spider-Woman of Wicked City, is one of the most iconic anime characters in the horror genre. Even though she appeared in only a handful of scenes in the film, the Spider-Woman left an indelible impression on the viewers. To be precise, she basically branded the terrifying appearance of her anatomy in the minds of everyone who watched this film, and that is where the brilliance of her personality lies. We often remember fictional characters on the basis of how they look, what they say, or what they do. In this case, Kanako's physique overpowers every other aspect of any given scene in the film. Likewise, it also overwhelms the viewer's mind with the stark horror that is radiated from her anatomy. The impeccable apprehension that entails the appearance of the Spider-Woman goes on to suggest how greatly the visual impacts our minds and, in turn, our senses entirely. Does Kanako remind you of any horror anime character who sent chills down your spine? Let us know in the comment section below. Also, remember to like, share, and subscribe to our channel so that you can get the best of anime films and series right here.